Hello there, boxing fans around the world. Thank you for joining me once again here on Talk and Fight for another episode of Boxing News Today. And we're going to start off with some fights that are upcoming. First one featuring Nonito Donaire, the Filipino Flash. And he's returning to the ring in a few weeks, taking a shot at the WBC title as he fights Mexican Alejandro Santiago for the vacant WBC bantamweight title. And that's taking place at the Cosmopolitan down in Las Vegas. As you know, this fight's part of the Frank Martin Artem Haratyanyan bill. And the WC first ordered this fight in February as part of the division's rebuilding efforts following the departure of Nayana Inoue. Donaire, by the way, is fighting with a 42-7 record, 28 knockouts. First got the call to fight Jason Maloney, who decided to fight for another organization, which opened the door for the WBC number 6, Santiago, 27-3-5, by the way. Last seen defeating Antonio Neves via technical knockout. Now, because we mentioned Tony Bellew yesterday and his potential return to the ring at his age, it's interesting to note that Donaire is actually turning 41 in November and is fueled, plus inspired, by the prospect of again contesting for WBC green and gold belt. Moving along, Vergil Ortiz will challenge WBA regular welterweight champion Imantas Stanionis for his title this Saturday night in the main event over at the AT&T Center in San Antonio, Texas. They're both coming off an 11-month layoff, which will be fresher and I guess challenging at the same time for the fighters in the ring. But for some reason, Golden Boy is getting a little late start in promoting Stanionis Ortiz event, which is surprising given that they think Vergil Ortiz Jr., 25 years of age, could soon be their number one star. On the undercard, you're going to see Marlon Esparza versus Gabriela Celeste Alanis in a good women's bout. Floyd Schofield versus Haskell Rhodes. Floyd, we've mentioned quite often on Knuckle Up and Talk and Fight here. Eric Tudor versus Reggie Harris Jr. Tristan Calruti versus Joan Jones. Darius Fulham versus Jeremiah Cutright. And Joseph Diaz versus Jerry Perez rounds out the undercard. You're going to see former IBF super featherweight champ Joseph Jojo Diaz, 32-1, by the way, will try to end his losing streak by going up against Jerry Perez in that last bout that I mentioned. So anyway, moving along quickly. I'm told to move along quickly. IBF welterweight champion Jaron Boots Ennis wants to force a corner or a ref stoppage of his opponent Roman Villa this Saturday night as well in their 12-round headliner at the Jim Whalen Boardwalk Hall in Atlantic City, New Jersey. Unlike his previous fight, he failed to score a knockout against Karen Chudhadzian. Ennis, 30-0, is confident he will knock out Villa, who's 26-1, by the way, 24 knockouts of his own. Villa will try and win and will want to trade power shots against the 26-year-old Boots Ennis, says Craig Daly over at BoxingNews24.com. And can Ennis stop Villa? That's the magic question. Rashidi Alice came up dry against Villa last January, getting dropped twice en route to a 12-round majority decision. Live boxing action will begin on Showtime, 9 p.m. Eastern Time, 6:30 p.m. That's 9:30 p.m. Eastern Time and 6:30 p.m. Pacific Time. The undercard, we'll see Yovis Gomez versus Marquis Taylor, Edwin De Los Santos versus Joseph Adomo, Yoel Cedena versus William Towson, Steve Torres versus James Evans, Dwight Flemings versus Henry Rivera, Ishmael Muhammad versus Parker Baruno. Ennis is being forced to wait until the Errol Spence versus Terence Crawford fight play out before he's either elevated to full IBF champion status or he fights for the vacated belt. One thing we know, the Spence-Crawford winner won't fight Boots because they're both planning on moving up to 154 pounds to go after titles in that weight class. Speaking of returning to the ring, Robert Helenius, who we mentioned yesterday, the Nordic Nightmare, is heading back home. The heavyweight contender will return to the ring on August 5th to take on fellow Finnish fighter Mika Mailonen That's taking place in Finland. The match will mark the 39-year-old Helenius' first fight since suffering a brutal first-round knockout loss to former heavyweight champ Deontay Wilder back in October last year. Helenius, by the way, he's 31-4 with 20 knockouts. Had scored back-to-back stoppage wins against the then unbeaten Adam Kownacki before losing to Wilder, making note of his age. ESPN's Salvador Rodriguez reports that welterweights Yordenis, Ugas, and Keith Thurman are in talks to square off this coming August, which Thurman himself later confirmed to Showtime's Last Stand podcast. Jake Donovan claims the two will fight for the interim WBC title, while Errol Spence Jr. and Terence Crawford hash things out. Ugas, he's 27-5, 12 knockouts, hasn't fought since April of last year, when Spence smashed his eyes shut to take the Cuban veteran's WBA super welterweight title. He's fought just twice since 2020, but Thurman, he's 30-1, 22 knockouts, has somehow been ever more inactive. One time has, in fact, fought once since his 2019 loss to Manny Pacquiao, dominating Mario Barrios in February of 2022. Assuming both men enter the ring at or near top form, it should be a well-matched bout with a lot of action potential. Ugas' low finishing rate belies a genuine mean streak, and Thurman, though far from the destroyer of yore, still packs some pop to go along with his craft. And we'll let you know if this one gets over the finish line. Sure enough. Alrighty. BoxingScene.com reports that promoter Ben Shalom of Boxer is standing firm that light heavyweights Joshua Buatsi and Dan Aziz will collide in a WBA world title eliminator. It was reported last month that Buatsi and Aziz would face each other in a high-stakes fight in the fall. But rival promoter Eddie Hearn of Matchroom later stated he was advised that Aziz was a free agent, and the result was trying to get him in the ring with WBA champ Dimitri Bivol. Shalom would quickly respond to Hearn's statements by making it clear that Aziz was under contract with Boxer. He now indicates that Buatsi and Aziz have agreed to fight. Shalom said both fighters have agreed to fight each other. It's flattering when other promoters are talking about your fighters, but Dan Aziz is with Boxer. He's one of our proudest achievements. Finding the fighters that don't necessarily get those opportunities, the fact we've gone from just about British level and come through the English, Commonwealth, and now he's even being talked about at a world level. It's an incredible journey. The Buatsi fight is one they both agreed to. It's definitely one that happens this year, which British boxing fans are hugely excited about. And according to Shalom, there have been no approaches from Matchroom to make a fight between Bivol and Aziz. He says he's willing to entertain an offer, but explains that nobody's reached out as of yet. Let's fly around the world to Japan, where we see that the World Boxing Organization's fifth-ranked Asia-Pacific Super Bantamweight, TJ Dohoney of Ireland, battered the Japanese champion Kazuki Nakajime of the Oshi Boxing Club into submission in the fourth round to wrest the title on the June 29th tilt that was held in Tokyo. And in other news out of Japan, we see that veteran Kenta Nakagawa of Masako Boxing Gym earned a 12-round unanimous decision over fifth-ranked challenger Joe Shiraishi of the Shishai Boxing Gym to retain his WBO Asia Pacific Super Flyweight title for the first time. That was held back on July 1st, also in Tokyo. And they were fighting at Korakuen Hall, and the 37-year-old Nakagawa occasionally landed well-timed straight left and right hooks to the head from his southpaw style while moving side to side to avoid Shiraishi's forward move. So good for him. And with the victory, Nakagawa improved his record to 24 wins, including 12 knockouts against 4 losses and a draw. For his part, Shiraishi fell to 11-1-1 and has 6 knockouts to his record. Finally, I want to bring you up to speed with respect to a link I provided down below in the show's description. A fight took place featuring Esquiva Falcao, the 2012 Olympic silver medalist. Esquiva Falcao, he's 30-1, 20 knockouts. Doesn't feel he got a fair shake against Vincenzo Gattari, who's now 21-0-1 with 7 knockouts in their clash for the vacant IBF middleweight title that was held in Wuppertal in Germany most recently last weekend. I think the fight was unfair to me, Falcao said. I fought for the world belt in my opponent's house. It's not in his country, it's in his house, in his city. And the judges are all German. Oh, there was an Italian. And that is where the boy is from. He's from Italy. He isn't Italian, but he lives in Germany. So the fight was all for him to win. Falcao continues, I was knocked down in the second round. The punch landed. I took it. But then I received 2 very strong blows below the belt, and the referee, Vincent Dupas, did nothing, not to mention the blows that I received on the back of the head and the shoulder on the chin. I believe the referee is there to protect both athletes, not just defend the home athlete or the promoter who organizes the event. I leave here sad, but knowing that I did my part. I didn't have to fight just one athlete. I had to fight one athlete, the referee, judging, but that's life. And that, my friends, concludes today's episode. I appreciate you joining me. Remember to like, share, subscribe, hit that notification bell. And I'll see you later on at 4 p.m. Eastern Time when I join Mike Orr for his show, Knuckle Up.